Okay. Are we recording? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I wanted to, and before we get started, I just want to give all praise to the Most High, the great I Am, Ahaya, and also his Son, the only begotten of the Father, Yeshua. I wanted to have, I was preparing a lesson or just going over, what I'm going to be. Usually Saturdays, I kind of like go over what I'm going to be teaching. But the Spirit, kind of told me today to just touch on marriage. We have done lessons before about marriage, but sometimes it is necessary to, continue. Sometimes we have new generations of brothers and sisters that come into the service, into the class, into the church, and sometimes we need to reiterate these lessons and also build upon what we already know. Okay, so we're going to do a lesson, and most of the scriptures that we're going to read, you guys heard before, so we're not going to be beating a dead horse, so to speak, but we're going to reiterate on how to fulfill those things. Because it's one thing is to read a scripture, read a commandment. It's another thing is how to fulfill those commandments and those scriptures in 2015, in the 21st century. So we're going to know how to execute those things. So before we get started, we're going to first establish the principles, and then we're going to go into how to fulfill the principles, what to avoid in a marriage, what to look for, how to resolve issues, and things of that nature. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start the principles. And I always like to start at, let me get it real quick, Ephesians chapter 5. Let me see. Yeah. Chapter 5, verse 22. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. We're going to read it all the way through, and then we're going to kind of understand the circumstances, how to operate there with this understanding, and then how to, because, Satan always attacks marriages because he understands that's the image of the Most High. And if he attacks marriages, and we have bad marriages or, and things of that nature, we're going to have a bad nation. We're not going to have a strong nation. We have a weak marriages in the church. We're going to have a weak church. We have strong marriages. We're going to have a strong church. Okay. So let's first establish what is the order, right? And then we'll start from that. So let's start Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Most High. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. And he is the Savior of the body. Verse 24. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so like the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Verse 25. Husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Verse 28. That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. Verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherished it, even as the Lord the church. Verse 30. For we as members of his body, of his flesh and of his bones. Verse 31. For this cause shall a man leave his wife, shall leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
Okay, keep reading. That was it?
There's more. Verse 32. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Verse 33. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself. And the wife see that she reverence her husband.
Okay. So that's the foundation, right? And I think today I'm going to do something different. Yes. Brother Andrew, do you do me a favor? Let's move the camera on the side over here. I'm going to come down to the people. We're going to have a conversation today. Okay. So let's move this way over here, and just aim it towards and just show tell me what it's a good view. Okay. What's the mic? Okay, let's get the mic. All right. So we're going to have. There's going to be a lot of questions asked today. So I need everybody to be honest, right? Just simply be honest. We're having a conversation among family, and we just want to get what really in the bottom of what is a lot of issues that's happening with the marriage. Because I usually get a phone call, I will say 3 times a month on average, in regards of marriage issues and problems or concerns, or to the point that from 1 to 10, we have the average, meaning 1 to 10, I'm out of here, I want a divorce, I can't stand this person, I'm done. That's 10. I get that at least once every 3 months. And then I get everything in between, a 5 or 6, like elder, we need a meeting, I don't know what's going on, right? So let's first understand the situation we're in, right? Let's go to Adam and Eve first, right? In the beginning, I think Genesis 3:16. Now, this whole concept of the woman being the man being the head of the household started in a rocket kind of perspective to begin with, right? It wasn't done in a way that is in a non-combative situation. You understand? Just put yourself back in the garden, right? If you're a man, imagine yourself to be Adam. If you're a sister, imagine yourself to be Eve, right? You're created, yada, yada, yada. You're minding your own business. And here comes Satan tempting Eve, right? Now, let's read that. Let's start from the beginning. We'll start at 3, but let's deal with Satan tempting Eve.
Okay. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 14. And the Most High Power said unto the serpent, because thou...
Well, let's start from verse 8. No, that's not it. Let's start at verse 1. Let's set the stage, so to speak. Yeah. Let's use that one over there. Yeah, because all right.
1, 2.
Here we go. So let's start at the beginning, right? Let's read chapter 3 of Genesis.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field,
Come on.
which the Most High Power had made.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden?
Come on.
Verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden,
Come on.
but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden,
Uh-huh.
the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of it,
Come on.
neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Uh-huh.
Verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Come on.
For the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened,
Come on.
and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Come on.
Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes.
Okay, so what does Satan use as a device to take you down? Say again? Desire. What else? Diane. Deception. What else? The back, sister? Verbal persuasion. Very good. Visual. Very good. Okay, brother Jude in the back. Lust. Okay, so this is the thing that he used. These are his devices. So these are things that we have to do what? Look out for. Okay, avoid, because this is the fall of man. This is the beginning of when everything hits the fan. This is how it was going against the fan, right? Lust, desire, you will be like gods. Curiosity. Pride. Right? How is being a god? Right? Matter of fact, Adam they were already gods. Okay? But they wanted to be like gods in where? In heaven, right? So let's continue.
Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food,
Come on.
and that it was pleasant to the eyes,
Come on.
and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat,
Come on.
and gave also unto her husband with her,
Come on.
and he did eat. Verse 7. And the eyes of them both were opened,
Come on.
and they knew that they were naked,
And
they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Come on.
And they heard the voice of the Most High Power walking in the garden in the cool of the day.
Okay.
And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High Power amongst the trees of the garden.
Come on.
Verse 9. And the Most High Power called unto Adam
Uh-huh.
and said unto him,
Come on.
Where art thou? Verse 10. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid,
Come on.
because I was naked,
Uh-huh.
and hid myself.
Okay.
And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked?
Uh-huh.
Hast thou eaten of the tree,
Come on.
whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
Mm-hmm.
And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree,
Come on.
and I did eat.
Uh-huh.
And the Most High Power said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done?
Come on.
And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and
Uh-huh.
I did eat.
Come on.
Verse 14. And the Most High Power said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle,
Come on.
and above every beast of the field.
Come on.
And upon thy belly shalt thou go,
Uh-huh.
and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Come on.
Verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman,
Uh-huh.
and between thy seed and her seed,
Come on.
and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Okay.
Verse 16. Unto the woman he said,
He says this is the way he said to the woman. Now this is the curse of 1 2 1 2. Is it me or is this like getting low? 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Okay. All right. So this is in regards of Satan. This is what the curse for Satan, right? Now this is the curse that the woman received, right? And also man received the curse, right? So let's read.
it's the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
Okay, so when you now, the first curse is when you have a child, you're going to have it through pain. We all understand, sisters, you guys go through pain when you're bringing forth life, right? Let's read.
In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children,
Come on.
and thy desire shall be to thy husband,
Thy desire shall be towards thy husband, read.
and he shall rule over thee.
Now he will be your head now. So this whole establishment of the man being the head of the household started from a negative, not a positive. Okay? It started in a conflict, in an issue. Okay? So we're going to go in with the understanding that we are now stuck in this situation. Right? Men and women. Right? So we have to be in a perspective that we have to sympathize with one another. Okay, we're going to just hold your thoughts until after the service. Just hold your thoughts. Just keep reading.
Verse 17. And unto Adam he said,
Now this is Adam curse, right?
because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife,
Come on,
and hast eaten of the tree
come on,
of which I commanded thee, saying,
come on.
Thou shalt not eat of it.
Uh-huh.
Cursed is thy ground for thy sake.
Curse is your ground for your sake. Now, remember what I said, sympathize with one another? Right? What is the ground talking about here? It's dealing with ground, the physical ground, but what was the necessity of the ground? What was the importance of the ground? Till the ground. He was a what? A farmer. Right? So, keep reading.
Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake.
Uh-huh.
In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Come on.
Verse 18. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth
Come
to
on.
thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field.
Come on.
In the sweat of thy face
Uh-huh.
shalt thou eat bread,
Uh-huh.
till thou return unto the ground.
Uh-huh.
For out of it wast thou taken, and
Okay.
from dust thou art.
So, let's bring it down to 2015. Right? Because because remember, when you read the scripture, you got to read the spirit, what it's saying. Right? So, man's job was to till the ground. That's how he got paid to support his family. Now, I'm using the word pay because that's a modern word. Okay? But that's how he got benefits, fruits. Okay, he was able to clothe his family because you take linen, you take cotton, okay, you make clothes, okay, the trees, you make houses, right? Stones, right? Everything comes out of the ground, right? Cursed be that. That's cursed. So through the sweat of your brow will you get these substance, meaning that anything that you put your hands on in regard to trying to support your family, that's going to be cursed. What's the modern day curse? How is that applied today? Jobs, opportunity, business. That's always going to be a curse for man. Right? So, now, for the women's side, you're always going to be bring forth birth through pain. Now, people think that is only dealing with literal. There's also dealing in every sense of the word. Your children are going to be getting out there, getting lost, and through pain, you're going to raise your kids. Through frustration and agony, and it's not going to be a joyful situation. So we're stuck here in this curse now. So the first thing we have to understand before we get started in a marriage, we have to understand the curses that we're in. So we could then sympathize with one another. Understand this predates our existence. We're stuck in this world. So once you have understanding, what's that old saying, knowing is half the battle. Okay, because sometimes we keep spinning these wheels and we wonder why. So we have to first understand why, right? So let's sit on that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's start with the sympathize. Now with the women, I also want to go that your desire will be towards your husband. Okay. Now I always ponder what that meant. Let's read that again.
Okay. Verse 16. Book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
Come on.
And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children.
You should sorrow, so it's not only talking about the actual physical birth, but through the child raising is through your sorrow. Right?
And thy desire shall be to thy husband.
And thy desire should be told the husband. So what does that mean? The desire should be told thy husband. What that is saying is meaning that women get mentally attached towards their husband. It is a chemical reaction, right? So you're thinking, okay, that's a good thing, right? But remember, these are curses. So we have to now start analyzing if this is a curse, although in the surface it sounds good, okay? But even something that is good, and if it's in the wrong circumstances, it will be bad. And I'm going to give you some examples of that, okay? Let's keep reading.
In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband.
Come on.
And he shall rule over thee.
And he shall rule over thee, right? Now, so this is a bad thing here. There's a curse here on both sides, okay? Now, these principles are still stand because these curses or these decree that the Most High brought the judgment on our forefather, Adam and Eve and mother, okay, is a decree now, is a law. Right? When you go into 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter, when Paul says, for it is commanded unto them to be obedience. Where's the precept on that? When you go to the precept, or if you have a precept book or Bible, it takes you back to Genesis. Because you don't see a law, particularly in the laws of Moses, dealing with this particular issue. To showing you that the law does not only stay within the confine of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. You also got Genesis. There were certain laws established, like the law of the Sabbath was established in Genesis 2. Okay, so it's the entire understanding. And also when you go into other books like the book of Jubilee and things of that nature, it gives you how when the first thing was established, like the laws of sacrifice. That was established with Adam when he kept killing himself. So the Most High said, listen, stop killing yourself. Now take the blood of animals, and then that will be your sacrifice. Right? So a lot of things was established in the beginning. Okay? So not necessarily in the laws of Moses. The law of Moses kind of brought it all together, brought it back. Because sometimes certain laws were lost and forgotten. Okay, we lost certain principles, right? So, and there were certain principles that were added because of what? Transgression. Just like the law of sacrifice was added with Adam when he transgressed, and that's what's added. That law of thou shalt not kill was added after what? Canaan killed Abel. Okay, so this thing to the prophet of time said, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not going to spill innocent blood, right? So, and let me show you how it works. So, what's the problem, elder, if the scripture says, well, let the man, let the women be submissive to the husband, right? And then, give me the scripture that says that a woman will surpass in Jeremiah, a woman will surpass a man. Now, remember when I said that something could be good, but if it's in the wrong circumstance, it could be a problem, right? So, let's go there. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Those scriptures, try them have like dividers or something, because I need them quick.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 22. How long wilt thou go about O thou backsliding daughter.
Come on.
For the Most High have created a new thing in the earth.
Come on.
A woman shall compass a man.
A woman should compass a man. Read.
Thus saith the Most High of hosts,
Come on.
the power of Israel. As yet they shall use this speech in the land of Judah and in the cities thereof.
They shall use this speech in the land of Judah and in the what?
And the cities thereof.
Okay, meaning that a woman has surpassed a man. So now the scenario is, I'm going to make it difficult for a man to provide for his family because curse beat the ground. And that's an acronym as anything you put your hands on, it's going to be cursed. It's going to be hard. Through your sweat, you got to work hard, right? And, you know, the whole saying, first fire, last hired, right? All that is part of that curse, right? So you're in a situation, sister, that you have to be under submission under a man that cannot provide for you. Oh, it's difficult for him to provide for you. You see that? That's the curse. So the curse is not that he is in that situation that he's ruling over you necessarily, although that was part of also the curse. But now the situation is now he cannot even provide for you. So what happens? Resentments on both sides. He's pissed off because he can't provide. She's pissed off because he can't provide. Right? He's pissed off because now, and what usually happens when you have that resentment, right? And especially dealing with the scriptures, with men, right? They will go and say, okay, at least in the scriptures, I'm demasculated in society, right? Every time I go out the door, I am reminded that I am a conquered nation. I am a conquered person. When you go in the streets, you see this is not your country. This is not your society. You don't run it. You don't rule it. It's not yours. You don't establish the laws. You don't establish the Constitution. You are a visitor in another country that doesn't belong to you, and you are conquered in this country. Right? So you're reminded. So when you go home, okay, what do men look to establish in their home? Order. But what comes with order? Authority. Right? Because at least in their home, they could at least be a man. Right? And we need that. There's nothing wrong with that. We need that. We need that to thrive. And remember, when the scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself, these things apply also in marriages. So if both sides understand the circumstance they're in, okay, you could sympathize with one another. Okay? Now, on the women's side, because men are usually looking to overcompensate their manhood in their home, because when they're outside their home, what happens? They cannot be a man. They got to always be, yes, sir. They cannot be a strong black man. That's why they always promote homosexuality in our community, in the sense that if there's a black actor or black figure in Hollywood, it's usually either he is played by a gay man or he's a straight man that has to play a gay role, right? Demasculine. Or he is the funny guy. He's the guy that's always joking. He's not the leader of whatever is going on. It's usually a European counterpart, right? He's always the guy who gets killed, and things of that nature. So those images, okay, and usually in most jobs, what are you doing? Most African-American Latinos, what are we doing? Blue-collar jobs, right? Pushing boxes, folding this and laying that. Okay, we're not part of the decision-making, right? That's statistically, right? So when you go home, you're at least, right, want to at least feel like you're in control of something, right? So then you overcompensate, right? Now, in women's side, okay, Remember, it all started with Satan. There's a reason why Satan went to the woman. Here, take this, take that, have that. Here you go, grab that. You like that? It's pretty, right? Right? So now, women are surpassing men. We just read in the scriptures. They will hire a woman before they hire a man. They will hire a gay black man before they hire a straight black man. Okay? Because a gay man, the perception is they are not a threat. They're not, they're going to get along. And they're like women. They got that feminist situation, so they could be subdued. Right? And what I'm seeing now is when they used to see the tough guy in jail or in slavery, because right in slavery you used to have, and this was a type of brain control. I think it was that book. What's that book with MK Ultra? But it was another one. Not that, no, but it was dealing with slavery. But what they used to do is they used to have certain slaves actually being the guards, making sure the other slaves don't escape. The overseers. And they used to give them guns. And sometimes they used to be the one executing the punishment. Okay, this slave did something wrong. Leroy, go and whip 20 lashes. So usually it was not the master of the house whipping, right? It was another slave whipping under the direction of the master, right? So, right, exactly. But we all know the movies. We're all familiar with these acronyms. So once we understand that they're using that against us, and don't think they don't using that against the sexes. So now what they say, okay, we can no longer take strong man to defend our society. Who are we going to use? Women to defend our society. And how do we do that? The same way where in the beginning, when you had the poor Irish and the blacks in slavery, because they were white slaves, they did a revolt. The poor whites and the poor blacks got together. And then they said, listen, we have to come together against our landlords, because these were the landlords of the land, and get our reparation. The Europeans saw that and said, okay, we have to separate these two. And a lot of them were the Irish. That's when they created this whole thing of you're white. The term white came out of that, because now they say, listen, you're white, I'm white. Let me hear your plights and your issues. I'll resolve your issue, but you have to separate against these blacks. And that's when the Irish became what? The overseer. That's why you have a long history of police officers being the Irish, a long history of police officers, Irish being correction officers and things of that nature, because those are the jobs. They say, okay, you want jobs, we're going to give you, just keep separating yourself from these black people, and therefore we'll give you these jobs, right? They're doing the same thing with us now. Okay, they used to use the Irish. In the beginning, they used to use the strongest black man and give him, or the mulatto, the half-breed, right? Give him, hey, you can live with us, right? To protect the fort. So there were even times that the master used to leave the plantation. And it ran itself, because you have good Negroes protecting the fort, right? So they used the beginning was mulatto. Then you got Irish. They used the Irish. And when after that didn't ran out. Now they're using what? Women. And it's the same formula, just being reintroduced in a different generation by different people. And what they do is they assist the problem. It's like, this is how we have to divide and conquer. Okay, now the people we need to start giving them extra treats is not the Irish, it's not the mulatto, okay, it's the women. Okay? So now women are surpassing men, Men already have a defeated attitude, right? In society, women say, why can I get a better job? Why are you just going to go to school? I did it, right? But it's so that resentment starts in the house. Women, I'm the head of the household, but why you can't get a better job? Women are the head of the house. It becomes the rat chasing the tail, right? So I'm just giving you different things what you're against it, what you are against, what is against you when you are dealing with a marriage. So you can understand how to combat the forces of evil, right? So, and clearly by the time of, let's go to about the in the Apocrypha when it talks about, yeah. And if you got it, get it, and then go back and forth, or it could be already there.
This is the book of Sirach in the Apocrypha.
Now, sisters, this is your task. I want you to hear this scripture, and I want you to honestly tell me what first comes to your mind. Honestly, what first comes to your mind. Okay, let's read this.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 16. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Raise your hand. But matter of fact, what's more? Give me more. Honestly, honest. I don't need political correct answers. Yes, Diane. Okay, what else? Yes. Okay, what else? Okay, what else? Anybody else? There's more? Maybe let's read more, maybe it will bring it out.
The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darketh her countenance like sackcloth.
Is it me? Is this an uncomfortable scripture, or is it me? Honestly. It's a very uncomfortable scripture to deal with, right? In a steady age. So it's keep reading.
Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman.
Come on.
Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her.
Now, Ezra really has some marital issues. This is Ezra, or who wrote this?
This is Sirach.
Sirach. It's Ecclesiasticus. Okay. So who wrote this? Solomon?
The son of Jesus.
Okay, right, son of Jesus. Right. Well, this brother clearly has some issues. So you could clearly see at this time, because this is dealing through the time of after the exile of Babylon. We were coming back. We were reestablishing our nation. And these scriptures were put together at this time. So clearly there were marital issues coming out of Babylon. Clearly, because they were in Babylon. If you know the culture of Babylon, everything goes. It was, So clearly the marriage structure got all discombobulated after. That's why you start seeing these scriptures. You understand? Coming back to Sirach. Now, Jeremiah and Isaiah, you start seeing these scriptures because this is prophecy. This is what's going to happen. But then now in Ecclesiastes is dealing with actually it already happened. And this is the end result. This is the backlash of that, right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 20. As the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach.
Okay, so it is telling you the reality of it is, but let's go into how can someone end up being in a situation. You understand? Because the woman that was considered the wicked woman, in her eyes, something else was happening. Because it's not she got up in the morning and said, I'm going to be wicked today. Right? I'm just going to be evil towards my husband. Right? So therefore, let's go into the reasons why, how can you may even turn up that way? We're going to deal with the women and the men, but what can happen that would lead you to being that woman that the man would rather deal with a lion than lion's den? Rather, what else?
In the attic of a house.
Rather be in the attic of a house, right? So give me a scenario that you could maybe turn up to be that type of person that you not even may know it, or you might even find justification. I'm going to ask the woman first. Give me a scenario, yes, sister.
Not having your parents raise you, just on your own.
On your own, figure things out on your own, and kind of do these. Okay, but expound on that. Give me a scenario.
Okay, like,
You wasn't not raised by your family,
right.
and
You have an example of a virtuous woman, or you have an example of that. So all you see was what you see on TV. Like
Okay.
today, basically what you see today.
okay,
You see this type of woman in our world today.
uh-huh,
What we're fed through, media.
Uh-huh.
That kind of
okay.
thing. So it's a learned behavior sometimes.
Learn behavior, and then that will do what? What will happen? Because so what will be your decision on dealing with relationship? You think that will be the outcome, a good outcome? Because you wasn't raised right, what will be the end result of you picking a mate? Because you haven't made those decisions, those right, or you haven't had those good examples. Let's go back to high school. What kind of guys you used to like? What was the cute guys? What was the guy you was attracted? Let's go back to that. Let's get back to basic human reaction.
Because you were raised that way, I don't think it's working.
I don't think it's working. Okay.
Because you were raised that way,
Uh-huh.
the type of person you attract is most likely.
1, 2.
You got to touch.
Right.
The type of person that you end up attracting is usually
You know what?
the
Let
opposite
me
of that.
grab that mic and then grab this one. 1, 2.
And that stereotype may attract the polar stereotype, which would be the wrong connection, because the person that you attract may be the person that needs to be on the rooftop every time you talk. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work.
Okay. Other scenario in the back, sister.
If a woman becomes bitter because she has to provide for her husband, so she
Okay.
becomes a hateful person. She
But
becomes
before you provide for your husband, let's go back to high school.
Oh.
What attracted you? What usually attracts a woman to a man?
what you see in your father.
You saw your father. Okay. Father. Uh-huh. Okay. What else?
His mind.
The first thing. But go back to high school. What was the first thing? We got minds. Brother in the back.
Well, I think that for women in high school, what attract the most is the bad boy type of guys during the high school.
And what is a bad boy? Let's break it down. What-
You know, the one that always gets in trouble in school, the one who just, a little rebellious, to my experience, I find like a lot of the
And
women.
why is that? Why do you think? What is about the typical bad boy that is attracted to women? What qualities? Because there may be some qualities there. I'm here, protection, strength. Why? Okay. Why do you feel safe with a bad boy?
Because at the end of the day, a bad boy not gonna let nobody come hurt you.
Okay. Well, okay, of course, Satan is in the bottom of it. Okay, right, but I want to first establish the things while you are attracted. Because remember, what did Satan give Eve? Something. Right. So now we got to now step back and say, because we all know behind is Satan trying to stir things up. But if you know yourself and you could start saying, okay, I'm attracted to this because of Satan trying to tempt me. I'm attracted to that because I could see the devices of Satan. So once you could pick it up, then you could start, you could start dealing with that. Now, protection. Okay, yes, sister. Uh-huh. So a fix-me-upper. So that applies to where and what curse is that? And your desire should be what? Towards your husband. I want to help him. I want to fix him. He's a good guy, but something about him. He's a good, right? So here you have these things, this creed that you will be this way. This is DNA. This is in your fabric of your being the most Satan actually using that against you. You understand? So, yeah, brother.
Also, I noticed sisters in high school was attracted to brothers that had game. You know what I mean? Brothers that knew how to come at them a certain way or had a certain disposition or swag. You know, that's a big part as well.
Now, why do you think that is? Going back to the garden, why do you think that is? That what is the hitting agenda? Because remember, you're the bad boy, right? Protection. Now, who knew, right? Who knew that's unconsciously, this is not consciously that people do these things. It's unconsciously they're saying, yeah, I know this guy's an idiot, but for some reason, I will feel protected. Right? And why do you see probably protect? Because he's probably beating up people up. He's probably standing up for himself. So if I could get under that tornado, right, I could be protected. So once you understand how the human brain works, you could protect yourself from it and make these decisions. Now, the bad thing is this. There is slim pickings. So, because we all damage. So it's not like, I'm going to wait until the Most High brings me that perfect person. No, good luck with that one. Okay? Well, good luck with that one. It's, so, but at least if two damaged people understand that they're both damaged and work on those damage issues, knowing is half the battle. Okay? So, because every time, usually when I have I'm about to have a council, I think tomorrow, but, usually the rule of thumb, right, that I usually, I speak to the brother, I speak to the sister. Usually brothers takes a little longer for me to get to the bottom of it because men are very basic. What's the problem, brother? Well, she talks too much. What's the brother problem? She doesn't listen to me. It's very direct. And I usually ask these questions. So if anybody's listening to me, everyone wants to have a counsel. And this is the thing for then you could even actually start carrying yourself and start figuring these things out and you don't even need me. Why she's not listening to you? Why she's, talking to you or whatever. Why? And usually that takes a lot more time to figure that out. Men sometimes need to, this is the biggest thing that you guys to learn as men. You have to learn human behavior. If you want to lead a family, you got to learn human behavior. Why do people do certain things? You have to become an investigator to get to the bottom of it. And then like, oh, okay, this is it. Over here in the attic, okay. Now we can start rebuilding. Men, what we do, we start flipping tables. Had enough. Right? A great leader is someone who is a counselor, right? Remember, you're going to put on Christ. What was his attributes? Wonderful counselor, teacher, right? So you have to ask questions. Why? And hear what they're saying, and try to get into the hidden root, the hidden perspective of what's going on, right? Now, when you're dealing with a situation, and let's go into the scriptures, right? When you enter a relationship, right? Give me issues, words that are usually problems with a relationship. Trust. And let's go, trust, let's go into that word trust, right? It's dealing with faith, right? What do you have problem trusting men with? Their word. What else? Lying, right? Other women, okay. Now let's deal with their word and lying. Guys, why do you lie to women? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Sometimes you're not really always lying. You're trying to keep them out of stuff.
Oh, there you go. Protection. What else? I go. Don't want to hurt their feelings. Good one. They don't want to take the truth anyway. So let me see what they're going to say. Right? I want to go back to watching my football. So let me just say what I got to say. Okay. So look at all that damage, all that issue, right? Now, how can you learn from that situation, from one another? First, I'm going to ask your sister, then I'm going to ask the brother. So, did you hear what the brother said? You really heard. Pay attention what they said. What's the hidden reason why they lied to you? Right? So, protecting you from the truth, right? Or how they really feel, right? And why they're afraid or concerned from telling you the truth. What's the end result of that? What is their perception of the reality if they tell you like it is? What's going to happen? What is, you're upset? For emotions, being in the attic, right? So now we're knowing this information, right? Now, do you want to know the truth, right? Okay. So take this information. You are a special forces agent, and it is your job to complete this mission. And your mission, okay, is to manipulate, righteous manipulation, the situation that this man could tell you the truth without feeling threatened. How will you do that? That's your mission. Mission impossible. Okay? How can, what is one of the things you could do is like, okay, I got to get the truth out of this guy. You are a spy. You got to get the truth out of this man. And the country depends on it. What will you do to create the situation? Sister in the back.
Don't get mad. When he tells you, don't show your emotion right at that point. Right? When he tells you, even though it makes you feel some type way, don't show him that, because he will never tell you the truth again.
Okay. Very good. All right, so that takes what? What that takes? It takes self-control, acting. Let me look in the mirror and say, okay, let me hear how I will hear that, whatever it is, right? So you may have to act like you're not mad on the situation. Right? And then you get and what will be the benefit of finding the truth, although something is hurtful?
I think it will bring you guys closer. Certain situations it can bring the marriage
Right. After the immediate shock to the chest, boom! Then after you get up, you're like, okay, this is the reality. What people do, it doesn't become no longer a taboo because it's there. It's there. In the beginning, I can't deal with it, it's disgusting, I don't want to talk about it, but after every other day, you get used to it, and you will adapt, right? Now, we're given that, right? And this is something, it's difficult because we're dealing sometimes, in many cases, it's people that are already in relationships before they come into the truth. How can you avoid those issues before marriage? Brutally honest. Okay, let me give you a hint. Brother Joe, I'm going to hear your thought, but let me just give you this hint. If you are a certain way that you know is an uncomfortable thing about yourself to this person, you're having like, okay, I can't tell this person this thing because it's going to rub them the wrong way. I'm afraid to tell them now because if I tell them now, they're going to look at me a certain way, right? And that's usually the rule of thumb in most society. You have to actually do the opposite. You have to, because marriage is a negotiation. Don't let anybody think you think it any way. But the problem with this negotiation, this contract, because that's what it is, never gets discussed in a relationship. Oh, we go out, we talk about, and things happen. It's happened naturally. It just happened. We just fell in love. It happened so naturally. Do you do anything naturally, any contract? Do you sign a house? Oh, it just happened naturally. I just signed. I just bought this car. It just happened. No, what you do, you ask question. How long is the mileage? You know, how many accidents has been? How many owners does it have? You ask those questions. Let me check under the hood. How much is the insurance? Right? Where everything else, every other contract that you do in the history of your life, you ask those key questions. But when it comes to marriage, you just, it just feels good. Right? Feel right. Like I'm going to give you an example. And this is, we have some kids, I'm going to try to be some, sometimes, and Brother Judah, you want to say something before, go ahead.
Talking about before marriage, right?
Yes.
Proverbs 18:22 says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Now it says, he that findeth a wife, not a woman, not a damsel. This is somebody that already has been in the presence of the Most High, being prepared to be
Right.
a wife.
Right.
So if he got to find her, that means she's already in Christ.
Right.
So when you find her, she already know what to do. She already know what to expect.
Right.
So none of that you're going to say.
Right. Easy said and done. But this is right. Right. But now, but let's deal with practical stuff that we have to talk about. Like I'm going to give you an example. These are issues that I have heard in relationship that no one is afraid to ask or to talk about. You may have certain people, and I want you to read between the lines, that are very healthy and very, use words, their libido, they expect a certain time, certain place, every time, right? Other people, not so much. I thought it would be good once a week. Once a week? I'm talking about 3 times, 4 times a day, right? There is compatible, listen to what I'm saying. There is differences of compatibility with that. It's been already proven as a sign, it is certain people are, and one thing about the Muslim community, they talk about this before marriage. What they already have questionnaire on this independently. Like they were asked, what do you think is a normal situation in that department? Independently. What is a normal situation in that department? Independently. And if it doesn't add up, they don't marry you. So there's a problem here, right? Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go that route, but these are the type of situations we have to start even learning from other groups and how they operate and things of that nature, because they see that sometimes this, can two walk together unless they're agreed? Right? So we have to we have to understand that when we have these conversations, you have to take it upon yourself, and maybe we should have a questionnaire or what is expected independently, because sometimes when you ask, if I ask you this question in the wife-to-be in front of her presence, you may give the politically correct answer and vice versa, right? Sometimes you got to ask these questions independently, and we may have to start doing that, asking these questions in regards of, and sometimes we have to, that's not even a foolproof, because people could actually independent, I mean, they could answer the, political correct answer as well with that. Right. So, with that being said, one thing that I noticed is the relationship, the biggest problem, if I have to say the top biggest problem in the church that we're facing, is the problem with men and women working together with the understanding of the man being the head of the household. Is a dimension that it does not know, we don't know how to even govern that, how to put that together in the sense of, we're talking about within the relationship. And what I'm saying is that the number one thing is trust. What does it mean? The woman does not trust the man because she feels he's going to take advantage of his position. The man does not trust the woman because he feels she's not going to submit to her position. So we're in a Mexican stand down. Nobody's moving. I don't trust you, you don't trust me. And usually something gives, right? So, and this is I'm using my wife and our relationship as an example. When we first started, there was that. I'm the man, listen to me, shut up, right? And it was that tug and pull, right? Now, but the reasons why is because I needed to solidify my position at home. I needed to establish my authority because I didn't feel that I was really in control. So I had to reassure myself I was in control. Right? Now, the reason why I felt that is because, and this took years for me to understand, is that my wife and I, we had a relationship of a mother and a son. Subconsciously. And what it was is that I was a rebellious kid going against my mother. Because women, remember when it says that your desire will be towards your husband, right? Women only know to express love from a mother to a child. They don't know how to express love no other way because they haven't been taught no other way. So when they express love, right, and when they fall in love with a man, what's the first thing you want to do? Take care of him. Fix his shirt. Pull up his pants. Tell him to do this. Because why? That's the only way you know how to express love. Right? So the hitting, remember we was talking about the bad boy? Right? Is all that wrote into one. Oh, he's a bad boy. I could take care of him. But I could feel protected at the same time. Because I know if somebody breaks into my house, he's a bad boy. They're punks. Right? So, and most relationships in America start, especially with our people, start in the perspective of hope. I like him, I like her. I see good qualities, and I think she's going to change. I think he's going to change, right? And it usually is the women saying he's a good potential. So in this side, you got Slim Pickens. So your choices are limited, right? So therefore, you find something, okay, bad boy, he will protect me, little rough around the edges. If I could just be a good woman, I could change him, right? And then the man who is a bad boy, he becomes the rebellious son in a relationship. You understand? Because I'm a bad boy. I'm in charge. I was always the ringleader in my crew. So I need to be the ringleader in my home. So what is happening is two different people are not understanding what is the problem. You understand? And elder, we got problems and this and that. And then something as minute as which television we're going to watch, or I'm serious. I mean, when I hear this stuff, it's very minute because that's the undertone. It is the child rebelling against his mother and the mother trying to straighten her child. But they don't know it. I'm going to give you an example. When I used to go out with my boys, my wife told me, babe, you know, try to come on time. What she said, try to come in a decent hour, subconsciously, I will come next Tuesday. Because I'm rebelling against my mother, subconsciously. Now, all the reasons that she's given me are legitimate reasons. You got to work the next day. Babe, you know what happened? You got in trouble last time. I get worried for you, right? When you out there, right? I with my boys, so what I do, I'm being the rebellious kid. Nah, I'm a man. I'm that bad boy that she saw. I need to reestablish my authority, right? So when that is removed, that perception, and it takes both sides to remove that perception. It takes the woman's job to remove the perception that she's trying to over-control my life. So when I don't get bent out of shape when she recommends something, men are getting upset when women even recommend something. What are you trying to do? Because we feel threatened. We need to constantly reinstate our authority. So when you come into the truth, you go in with that baggage. So men will read, women submit under your husband, and like, yes. Woo! This is it. I knew it. I told you. You're still being a rebellious kid. You just don't know it. Right? Now, the woman, she reads this, and she's like, oh, my God. This is a loaded gun. Right? So, the same things happen. Right? So, what do people do when they come to the truth, when they argue? What they use? What's the number one tool that they use? You boom, boom. Just start looking for scriptures. Babe, I was just reading something. Right? And becomes tick for tack. And it's the same relationship. It is the man who is the rebellious kid trying to overimpose his will. And now he has, women submit yourself, women submit yourself. You're stuck on that. And then women are looking for what? Scriptures to see their errors, to then humble them, because mother, you're trying to humble your child, for he could see what you're saying. I just want you to see what I'm saying. Right? So how can we resolve this issue? How can we remove the perception that my wife is trying to govern my life, okay? And so therefore, when we're having a conversation, there's not that thing. It's like, so what movie you want to go see? I don't know. What you want to see? And everything becomes a thing. What do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. Because it's a stand down. Right? Exactly. And it becomes, yeah, whatever you want to eat. But are you sure that's what you want to eat in? It becomes a thing. Because the undertone is this. Is the issue is what? That we're having the curses. And this is the result of the curses. See, because the Bible, the Most High gives you the curse. Gives you, this is what's going to happen. It's for us to figure out through the scripture and through life experience to understand, okay, now I understand the issues that's happening within our relationship. We understand now what's going on. It's because of this and this and this and this. So you got to kind of sometimes go back 3 steps, 4 steps behind to find the foundation of the problem. Okay, so let's, what other scriptures we had? Let's go to Corinthians. So, I don't want to point out any particular couple, but give me of things that are been with issues about men that is a reality, and then we're going to figure out how to navigate through that reality. Slow patience, little patience. Whatever, right? Okay. Give me things about women that is a reality and you feel that is an issue. Truth. Judgmental. Feelings. Expound on that. Give me more. Give me not generalization. Give me. If you have to pick the number one thing, it comes to your mind right now. Give it to me. Boom. What is it? The truth. What else? Emotionally unstable. But that's generic. Why is that? What's the undertone of that? Say again?
Certain things evoke different emotions. Like you said, the truth. If you say, it depends on how you talk.
Okay, give me a truth that you think would tick off a woman, and why. First, give me the truth, and give it to me why you think that is.
I have a friend. The story's kind of siloed. So I have a friend that back in like 1997, 98, and this guy, he's kind of like extra. When I was out in California, and his wife just had his kid, and he said to his wife, "Listen, I'm going to give you 6 months for you to get back to where you was before you got pregnant."
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And he goes, "At the 6th month, one day that you're not at where you were,
Yes.
I'm out of here."
Right.
Right? So in the 5th month, 28th day, she was back to where she was.
Right.
Right? So my wife asked me the other day, well, I'm not going to go there because she's probably.
Right. Watch. Love her.
But
love you, honey. Right.
I would just say this. It's like when you, and I've been married for, over 7, 8 years, and I've been with my wife for over 15.
Right.
Certain things I can say to her, or certain things I won't say to her because I know how she would take it.
Okay.
Like if she asks me a question, what do you want to eat tonight? And then I go, okay, what's the options? She goes, well, I'm going to make this. Well, if you only have those options, I'm only going to eat that. How do you know what I want to eat tonight? I want to actually eat this.
Right.
So it's not available. So okay, let's go get what's available. Right.
Right.
You know, so I think I'll take it back to a question that women always get. Baby, am I overweight? Right?
Right. So,
So,
but the issue is not necessarily they're overweight or underweight, is the issue of there's certain things that offends them.
Exactly.
Getting offended very easily. Would that be, because that could be several things, like maybe you're overweight, maybe you're underweight. And anything that will, you feel that they are, so if you have to choose, let's deal with the getting offended very easily.
Okay.
Right?
Or
okay, so let's deal with that. Let's deal with that. And what was the other thing we did with the men? Patience. Okay. So this is a reality. Women get very offended very quickly. Right? According to your understanding. Now, how can you avoid that still being sympathized? You got to sympathize with one another. Right? Because you do got to be patient. It is a project, brothers. If you are willing to understand it is a building and you have to constantly build, you have to then understand that the only way this could work, you have to be patient, which is the fruit of the Spirit. Right? So give me an scenario give me trigger words. Okay, weight, what else? Hair. Well, let me ask the women. Hair, women, weight, what else is a trigger word that gets you upset? We deal with the hair. Okay, the way it comes out. Right. 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 Criticism. Right, right. Okay. Now let's deal with the criticism. So if you need to criticize a sister about the way she dressed, you're in the truth. Women wear not with potential man, cover your head, yada, 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 and things of that nature. What would be the best approach with this situation? Say again? Buy some clothes for her? That's a real good, why do you think that's a good thing? What's the hidden thing about that? Say again? Right, the perception men don't like shopping, right? And then, why would women like that? Because it shows that you're taking into consideration the work. You care, you actually thought process about the situation. Right? Now, sisters, go ahead.
I think it's also because a lot of times when women feel criticized, it's like, okay, well, this is the problem.
Right.
And you're not getting a solution of the problem either. So you're saying, I don't like this, I would prefer this, here's the solution.
Right.
Okay,
so you heard that. If you go into, and I'm going to go also dealing, also I'm going to do another issue that is also societal. We're going to deal with that. So when you criticize, brothers, you guys write this down, also bring a solution. Baby, I don't like this. I think this is what we're going to do next Sunday. We're going to go shopping. Okay, that's good? All right. Right? So a solution. Now, there's another problem, which is societal. Remember when it says that the woman will surpass the woman? The woman will surpass the man, right? What is not custom in that thing? What is not normal? Say again? No. And they actually of the solution, criticizing and bringing a solution. What is not normal in society? Do you see that a lot?
Men looking towards women for security.
No, but stay with me, stay with me. Do you see that a lot in society? Men, no, listen to what I'm saying. Pay attention. Do you see a man coming up to, is it a normal situation that a man will go to his wife and say, babe, this, that, and the other, I think we should do it this way? Or do you see the opposite? Babe, I think this is wrong, we should do this and the other. Right? What do you usually see the most? The woman, right? So now we have to be considerate of the situation, and now, and I'm not saying don't do it or don't confront it, because both sides have to put their part, independent from one another. Okay, we're going to get into that. Meaning, if there's something that now is being done after you come into the truth that is not in a doesn't go in a normal relationship in America, like a man making a decision about something, you have to be considerate of one another. Be considerate that she's not used to that, and be considerate that he's not used to that, so he's going to probably be testing the waters. He's probably going to be like, hey, babe, and then he's back in mind, I hope she doesn't scream. Yeah, listen, I was thinking we should do this and the other. What do you think? Right? So understand that that's your opportunity to do what? To do what? To show the other that you're not going to be the norm. Right? I always tell this to the sisters and the brothers. Pick your battles. Like, and I do this with my boss all the time, or anybody. If there's a situation that I don't care either way, sometimes you give the person the illusion of decision. Okay, all right, I'll do that. You understand? Because if you got to find out, and this goes back into speaking honestly about each other. Baby, what annoys you about me? And I'm not going to say anything. You bite your lip. And just honestly speak. Well, baby, you know, this annoys me when you get up in the morning. And be honest. And the same thing. Baby, what annoys me? Damn, you always farting. No, he's fine. Right? You got to, because once you start doing that, then you can start building. Then you can start building from that. So the problem is that most marriages, when you come into the church, you didn't have those issues yet. You didn't have those issues. You didn't have that conversation yet. I'm sorry, you didn't have that conversation, and now you're trying to superimpose the Bible into unresolved issues. You understand? And you think the Bible is just going to resolve it's going to just magically resolve the issue. It's not the readers of the word of the law, but it's the doers of the law. Now the question is how you do it. You see, like a lot of people don't understand. It's like, okay, we get stuck on the scriptures, right? But we don't feel that it doesn't take our brain to actually strategize to keep this commandment. Sometimes you have to strategize. How can I keep my home in peace, in order? How can I do that with the problem at hand? You understand what I'm saying? So you have to start strategizing, men and women, independent from one another. What this means, you have a job, it doesn't matter what your husband does. You have a duty. You have a duty, it doesn't matter what your wife does. But both sides become a situation. I would do the right thing if she does the right thing. I would do the right thing if he does the right thing, and it becomes a thing back and forth. Right? So let's keep reading. Let's get into the scriptures.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4. Well, I'll start at verse 1. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
Now, this is dealing with relations, right? Read.
Let every woman have her own husband.
Let everyone have their own husband. Read.
Verse 3, let the husband render unto his wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
So that is talking about what? You have to satisfy each other in the relationship department, right? So if that's a law, what will be smart for you to do? Find out that department within your spouse. What's going on? What you expected? What you expect? Now, once you take that information, then you can start building the building blocks from that. Now, it may be a situation that you have certain things or certain ways what you like, but it's not what she likes, and vice versa. Right? That's when you have to start building some form of compromise. And the compromise usually start with removing the resentment out the way. Meaning, although if you really love your wife and you want to make your wife happy, you would do certain things to make her happy because you generally like her. Because sometimes you like your spouse, you love your spouse, but you don't like them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I love you, but I don't like you right now. So when you are not liking the person, that's going to transcend into every aspect of your life, even the bedroom. You understand? So you have to, when you keep this commandment, you have to, that's why before marriage, you have to have the discussion. And it may be a situation that other people may have to be involved because both of you guys are not equipped to actually see what's in front of you. In other words, sisters, my advice to you, before you marry a man, ask a brother, most likely an elder or someone or a deacon, to check a brother out and hear what he's saying. Because sometimes you can't see straight because you're blinded by love. You like his dimples and he's cute, and you can't make a fair judgment. The same thing with a brother. Check the sister out, see what it's all about. And listen to that, because you're also blinded by, I like her, and, you know, right? Same thing. So you have to sometimes remove yourself, right? So when you go into these scriptures, you have to understand it's like this, the Most High, and sometimes the Most High to some degree, it's like these are the commandments. I'm going to give you some advice about certain things, but figure it out. But the bottom line is what? Love. So once you have that understanding, then you can say, okay, how can I go with the understanding all the curses and all the issues that we have? How can I combat these issues? Because the foundation is love, long suffering, patience. That's the fruit of the Spirit, right? Let's keep reading.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4. The wife have no power of her own body.
Come on.
But the husband, and likewise also the husband have no power over his own body, but the wife.
Come on.
Verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other.
So the context about the power over their body is talking about both of you have to consent in regards of embracing or refraining from embracing. So if you have a wife and you say, you know what, I'm going to go fasting for like 30 days. I'm not going to touch my wife, for 30 days, And your wife like, well, you didn't check with me. I mean, what, you consider my feelings? I mean, what's going on here? Vice versa. So it has to be agreed upon. That's what I said. You don't have authority in regards of the relationships in the bedroom. You don't have authority to say, I want to refrain from 6 months in things of that nature, right? So it has to be agreed upon. Each person doesn't have authority over their body with that, because you have to consider each other's feelings, and that's the law. That's the commandment. Keep reading.
Verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time.
For a time. So we're gonna take a break, babe, and we're gonna come in consent. Now, a brother could say, "Well, brother, I'm the head of the household, so I'll lay down the law," and things of that nature. But when it comes to relations, this is the law. You have to check with your wife, and things of that nature. And not only that, okay, it also has to be, when you go into the whole thing about multiple wives, that a wife also has to have got her say into that, because your body doesn't belong to you. That's dealing with relations. So when you look at the history of a man having another wife, a lot of it was because children, or she couldn't bear children, or she passed that age and things of that nature. And she was the one that suggested that, because that, you understand. So all that, also that has to be applied into that scenario. Let's keep reading.
Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time.
Come on.
That ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
So when you give yourself fasting and prayer, you refrain from that. Okay? But it has to be consent. Okay? Read.
And come together again.
So if you're someone that's not, you're a very spiritual person, you're fasting and praying a lot, and that's your thing. Okay? And that's not, you don't have, that's not really your thing, and you are attracted to a person who is high energetic, and things of that nature. You're a vegan, he's not, or vice versa. Understand that you have to then get into, you understand, okay, that you have to then say, okay, this is the situation I'm in. Can I live with that? Because then I will have to compromise. Because I have to make my husband or my spouse happy and vice versa. So sometimes people don't make the decisions because think that somehow, please try to mute your phone, that they think love will conquer all. It will somehow remarkably will you all work out. So these are the type of things you have to deal with. Also, when you originally started, a Sunday worship Christian, and now you're a Hebrew Israelite, but your spouse is not. And now you want to fast every week, and you want to do this, and you want to do that, and then you get upset at your spouse because now it's like, wait, I didn't marry you being a Hebrew Israelite. I married you being, a Christian. So you have to be patient with that as well, because then you could come across as being very high-minded. That's disgusting. Well, I think we talked about this, about not using trigger words. That's evil, that's wicked, that's disgusting, you're pagan, you're going to hell. Don't use those type of words because, wait a minute. We were doing that just 2 years ago. Now I'm going to hell? What's going on, right? So so you have to use those, you have to be very wise with that. Let's keep reading.
Middle of verse 5.
And let me also say this. Sometimes, and this is very this is a reality sometimes. Sometimes you picked your spouse 3, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, for the wrong reasons. And now you're stuck with this person. But the good news is that whatever those reasons was, once that person is born again, it doesn't matter. But it's easier said than done. You understand? In other words, the good thing, even though you could break down the reasons why you was in that situation and you got in with each other, you probably, saw each other in a certain time in your life, and you both come out of divorce, and you got together for the wrong reason, what have you, and you didn't really did these things, and you're like, oh my God, if I knew now what I knew then, I would not probably marry this person, right? But if both of you guys are in the church, it doesn't matter because you're a new person in Christ. So if you marry the bad boy because you wanted to get protection, it doesn't matter anymore because now he's a new person in Christ, or at least he's supposed to be. So at least let comfort you yourself with that, understanding that it doesn't matter whether you married a person for the wrong reason 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. If you're both in the truth, okay, that should not matter. You get what I'm saying? Okay, all right. So let's keep reading.
It's the middle of verse 5. And come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency.
Right, so this is dealing with relations that make sure that department is well taken care of. And so if you need to, so if this is a commandment, then you need to, it's upon you to understand your spouse thoughts on that, what he or she expects on that. Some people are not, they think twice a week is fine. Other people think that, 5 times a week is fine. Other people in things of that nature. And on top of that, a lot of reasons, or sometimes could be the reason is that, and this is more a psychological thing, that sometimes people need it more than others. We all know what we're talking about here, because they need confirmation of love. You understand? Show me you love me. Show me you love me. But babe, we got 2 jobs. I don't care. I'm tired. Show me. And they're not telling you, show me you love me, but their desire is coming for that. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of issues, you have to figure these things out. The only way you could do that is counseling. I believe every couple needs some form of counseling. Every so often, just to, air things out, and things of that nature. Right? Younger couples, I think you should be friends with older couples. They've been through the trenches, and ask them questions. Sisters that are young and they, early married, don't be asking advice to somebody who also is young or someone who's single. You should get involved and learn from older people that have been in the world for a longer time and get their advice, because they're going to give you better advice. Right? So let's keep reading.
Dropping down to verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Most High, let not the wife depart from her husband. Verse 11. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. Verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Most High. If any brother have a wife that believe not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
And this is going back into the scripture says, the reason why Paul said this is because he also stated, let not, don't come together with unequally yoked. So if you are not yoked together with your spouse, then what to do? So he kind of gave this as a filter, that if the spouse is not spiritually yoked with you, but they still please to deal with you, meaning they still respect the fact that you're not going to eat certain food, you're not going to do certain things on the Sabbath, you're not going to, conduct yourself or partake in certain things, if they still, after they know that now you're a changed person, they're still dealing to deal with you, then you can still stay with them. Sometimes the spouse doesn't want to go down easy with that. They don't want the change. They will fight tooth and nail to keep you the same, because that's the person that marry you, right? So you as a spouse have to then understand that there's going to be a conflict with that. And so therefore, for the better of the marriage, try to introduce the truth in a way that's more positive rather than negative. You understand? And this is why what I tell people, before you tell people that you're not eating pork anymore, try to change as a person. For then when you're telling them I'm not eating pork, they could see the benefit of it. Because every time you come to your spouse with this new information is, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can do that, it's always a negative. So you always have to be considerate to your spouse and strategize. Use your nuggets before you say something, and what would be the best way to express this information. Let's keep reading.
Verse 13, and the woman which hath a husband that believe not, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Verse 14, but for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, Shalakia. And the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else where your children unclean be now are they holy.
Come on.
Verse 15, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases.
You're not under bondage under the marriage of, in such cases. Read.
But the Most High have called us to peace.
They called us to peace. That's it on that? Okay.
Basically, yeah.
So, all right. What other scripture we had? Let's go to a virtuous woman. Okay, let's go to that.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman?
Come on.
For her price is far above rubies.
Come on.
The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her.
Come on.
So that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life.
And we as human beings, we have to realize that the only way we could achieve something, when you read the scriptures of a righteous man that he did certain things, or a righteous woman that she did certain things, you have to realize that Satan already has several devices to try to stop you to achieving that righteousness. You understand? That's why there's certain things that come into your brains when you hear certain things, because that's the person you want to be. When you hear a righteous man in the scripture, you go, your hair stands up because, like, yeah, because you want to be that person. But subconsciously, you could probably, it's going to be hard for you to be that person. So in your mind, you are doubting whether you could be that person. You understand? So when you hear about great men that they kept the faith and this and that, and you like, or say, yeah, that would be me, and that's what I would do. You're really subconsciously saying that you hope that's what you will do. Because you don't know that you're going to do that in that situation. And the same thing with women. So immediately when you read these scriptures about righteous people in the scriptures, whether it be a righteous sister or a righteous brother, analyze yourself honestly and say, you know what is it about me that is stopping me from being that person, to being like that person? And of course, the person you should definitely mirror is Christ, right? Let's keep reading. Is it hot in here? Is the air conditioners on? So let's keep you want to open the doors? Both doors, let some air in? Okay. Is the air conditioner on, babe? Is that okay? Okay, so let's open it. Okay, let's read.
Verse 13. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
Now, that's a natural thing for the woman. Always doing something, try to what? For the home. Because now, for you to be in that situation, you have to feel safe. Give me things. You know, safe, love, right? Save, love, right? Secure, right? Because sometimes you don't give up your best because you don't feel you're getting your best, right? But we to understand that even the perception of what you think is someone's best is also taught by Satan. Because sometimes you be in a situation that is love, like I was speaking to your sister. What's the problem? Why do you feel your husband doesn't love you? Well, he doesn't listen to me. But think about that. He doesn't listen to me. Right? He doesn't listen to what I told him to say or what I told him to do, and yada, yada, yada. And then when you go into what the sister's saying, is the same scenario as a mother and a child. You get what I'm saying? Because it goes back into the only way you know how to love a male is through a mother and a child. Why do you think your kid doesn't love you? He doesn't listen to me. I'm trying to do something, he doesn't do it. He doesn't love me. And sometimes women are like, wow, I never thought of that way. It's okay because we all victim of our environment. So now we have to retrack our brains and things of that nature to understand that, okay, I'm stuck here. I've got these curses. I got to give birth through pain. My husband got to, through sweat of his brow, he has to get me, food. And that's cursed. He's going to have an issue with that. How can that? I live in this world, right, with all the curses that are existing and things of that nature. So when you go into a situation like into a relationship or an assistant relationship, you have to take a pause and say, wait a minute. Okay, what are the issues here? What are the issues that we're having here? And if you are a woman and you're dealing with a situation that your husband doesn't listen to you or what have you, or he doesn't take your advice because you do have good advice, right? And sometimes your husband doesn't take advice. But the reasons why he's not taking those advice is why? Because he's being the rebellious kid. It's unconsciously. So it's your job to create the scenario that when you're having a conversation with your husband, he does not think that you're trying to take over the house. And that's when it becomes the undertone. You understand? So everybody has their job. So if my wife could have, and we have a conversation, I don't feel threatened by her when she suggests something. You understand? And the number one thing that my wife learned not to do is when she tells me something, she leaves it alone. I get to it. She doesn't catch her attitude. She just, that's the way, she's like, this is the way you are. I get it. She understands me. She doesn't get caught up, and I am not worry about it. So because that I have that bliss feeling in my house, that I know something is not going to become an issue, I actually think about it now. You understand? It's a weird thing. It's like I know it's not going to become an issue, so I give more attention to it because I know it's going to become an issue. Before, I deliberately ignored it because I was want to be that rebellious kid. No, I'm not. I'll get to it, I get to it. So something that would take me 2 days would take me 2 weeks to get to it because I was being that rebellious kid. But she understands, she really got into my brain is how it works. And she said, okay, I need to know how to operate with a man. And then I was able to, it was very weird in the beginning when we first got back together because I wasn't trusting. I thought that if I say something, do something, I'm going to hear, well, baby, it's not working out. Take your stuff. I'm going to hear the same speeches I heard. I didn't hear the same speech. I was like, this is my wife. This is my house. So it takes some time after a while, there's been like second nature. It's not even, it's so foreign to me now. So a lot of that, it takes practice on both sides, right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 14. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar.
Come on.
She riseth also while it is yet night.
Come on.
And giveth meat to her household.
And that's a natural woman. Like, what we're reading here is not what women do automatically for who? Their children. Because, like I said it before, women only know how to love their children because that's their flesh and blood. So you see women coming out at night for their kid. They'll be pissed off. They got to do it, but they're stupid thing. I got to do this, get this, right? But that's what they do. Hey, what you doing, sister? Yeah, my kids. I gotta. What you do? Because that's how that is something that does not have to be trained to them. You understand? But loving their husband, they haven't been taught because it's a different dimension. So what they do, they just put everybody in a box, husband, kids, nephews, in the same box. Okay, let's read.
And a portion to her maidens.
Come on.
She considereth the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard.
And that goes to show you, women are always thinking. And because there is a stand down, women cannot really execute their greatness. Because women always got great ideas, right? And I had this conversation with the sisters before. I don't know if it was this church or another church, and I told them, the number one thing that men are afraid of when we give you tasks is that it's going to become a drama, right? And then it becomes a thing, it becomes this and that, right? So it is a thing that we are afraid to really have you really embrace your womanhood, your greatness, because women do things like buy fields and consider to do this and come up with great ideas and things of that nature, right? And men, we know that, but we suppress those powers because we are afraid to what? Lose our control. So these things does not only apply in a marriage, it also applies in a nation. That's why, you know, when you got with the Israelite community, matter of fact, we got the event coming at June 21st, the women intuition, and then giving honor to the women and things of that nature, because there's always been a misconception about women in the Israelite community that we always oppress them, shut up, go in the back, don't say nothing. You know, so we're going to try to embrace that, because that is what, to some degree, is being missed in our nation. That women cannot fully express and exercise their greatness because we are holding them back. Some of it is our fault, other of it is your fault. We both have to take blame. So we have to kind of break down that perception, that wall of perception, to let us naturally be. We know each other's job. I don't have to worry about it. You gotta do something wrong because you know what you need to do. It's the same thing as when I say, well, as an elder, I'm not the type of elder that I'm always over you. You know what you're supposed to do. We're all grown adults here. We all read the same scriptures. So once we get in that situation that we all know what we need to do, we can all exercise the same, our full potential, so to speak, right? Let's read.
Verse 17. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms.
Come on.
She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night.
Yeah, and my wife is a testament to that. She, like 8 o'clock in the morning, she's ready up, getting ready to take some clothes and laundry. It's like, babe, just relax. You know, you're going through this therapy thing, but that's my wife. She's got a book bag, she's got this, I got to take this. Like, you know, that's just naturally what my wife does. That's, you know, that's, women do that. That's just the way they are. They just, you know, they're doing 10 things at one time on the phone. That's what they do. They're rocking the, you know, that's just their natural thing. You know, and then, go ahead.
Verse 19. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands holdeth the staff.
Come on.
She stretcheth out her hand to the poor.
Come on.
Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy.
And let me give you advice, sisters, if you want to really us allowed and your full potential. Don't use words that is going to be combative, or not combative or suspicious on us and us not trusting you to some degree. And the best way to a man's heart is through his ego. Just ego him to death. Babe, I'm checking with you because you're my Lord. I just want to, babe, it's okay, it's okay. I'm telling you, overdo it. Overdo it, and trust me, he was like, babe, I trust you, babe. Do whatever you want. I love you. I'm telling you. But if you start talking about the borough and the prophetess and the woman could do this and you're oppressing women and you're using those type of words, I'm telling you, you're just being wicked. Reverse psychology's work. You could get a lot more done with honey other than with vinegar. So a lot of the stuff is, and it's funny because we use these things every day in the world. With our bosses, with our friends, we're trying to get our sister to lend us this dress we want to have, and we give them a compliment. Oh, that you did your new hair. You look, wow, you lost some weight, oh my God. We do it all the time in society. So you got to learn how to use those gifts to say, okay, if you know in your heart that you're not looking to take over man's house and this and that, but you just want to express your full potential for this household, create the environment that he doesn't feel threatened by you. You understand? And it's easy to do. Men are very simple. Feed us, give us compliments, and right? Feed us, and we're not, don't nag us. Simple creatures. We're like, babe, you're right. You're right, babe. You're a beautiful woman, brother or sister. I love you. Right? You're right. You do it. You're smarter than me. You know what you're doing, babe. I'm glad I got you, you know. But if you're constantly doing a certain way that, and it might take some time. In other words, in the beginning, he'd be like, nah, don't do that. Okay. It might take 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. But if you keep nagging about a situation, he's going to say, okay, what's she trying to do here? Then the negative eye come upon you. Okay, he start calling your boy, yeah, my wife, I don't know, man. I don't know about her. She's trying to, it's always talking, she's just always talking. And there's always something that's like, you can't put your finger on it. You understand? So you have to recognize it. You have to recognize it's all Satan trying to put little things. So you have to understand that the enemy says, okay, my perception about men towards women is always talking, always nagging, always trying to control their life. How can I change that? You have to start having conversation about yourself and things of that nature, right? The perception about men, okay, well, we get told every day, we ain't confident, we this, we're lazy, whatever. So you have to change that perception. Or we don't hear women. They don't listen. We're too busy playing video games or whatever. So you got to change that perception. Like I had to give myself some time to listen to my wife. And sometimes I even got to catch myself. So I said, I kind of trained okay, I'm going to give my wife 15 minutes. I actually got to do that. I got to think. It's because if I don't give myself a time period, then yeah, baby, yeah, yeah. Phone, okay. I had to train myself. I got to put this phone down. Give her some time so she can feel that I care about her. I care about her feelings. It's important. I could go back to. You understand? You have to sometimes act it out. Go through the emotions. And you get, you have to go through that. And it's funny because you can do something for 15 minutes that will resolve an issue that will last for 15 days. You understand what I'm saying? Because you didn't really took her hand, okay, sis. And then you got to act like you really care about her problem. Really? Just give it 15 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Giving all the secrets away. Just give a damn. Listen, it's not important to you, but it's important to her. So you got to look at it that way. That you cannot be self-centered. Just give it 15 minutes. And trust me, it's not gonna last 15 days of moody and problems, and because usually when relationship get to me on the 15th day, it's because someone didn't do for 15 minutes 15 days ago. You understand what I'm saying? And everything bothers them now. The sock, the color, the TV is too loud, everything. I'm telling you, it just becomes a thing because you pissed off at this person. They annoy you. You don't like them. So everything becomes an issue. But if you look at in a lot of it, you have to go back into what it is. And sometimes you may have to go 15 years because there has to be some unresolved issues. Okay, let's keep reading.
Verse 21. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
And that's a woman. That's, they go out there in the snow and do what they got to do. Right? Read.
She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple.
And you have to also understand that Satan then now is establishing a culture that is anti this. Prima donnas and, you know, Desperate Housewives of Atlanta, Georgia, New York, Puerto Rico, Atlanta, you know, it is what? Prima donna. I don't do that. So then to make a woman feel like doing these things is like, oh, are you really a slave? So you have to understand that the Satan is working. He's a worthy adversary. Don't ever underestimate Satan. He's good what he does. Real good. Better than us in our desire to be righteous, right? Let's read.
Verse 23. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land.
Right, so he is a man that is praised like, yeah, that brother's wife is a righteous sister. That's, you know, that's, you understand? That's a wonderful, yeah, like, you know, and he could just walk into the room and get that respect for the work that his wife is doing. You understand? But she is not creating the tug of war of the struggle problem within that relationship. You understand? It's like when there was one time I was watching a sister speaking, and she always took her husband. She wrote a book. She was a sister that brought about the post-slavery syndrome book. I forgot what you call it. But anyway, she always used to take her husband around and always gave honor to her husband and have him stand up, and he does the profile and sits down. You can see the pride of this man's face. But the woman was able to do what she did. She was a writer. She was this, you know, she did speaking engagement, things of that nature. And the husband didn't feel like she overshadowed him. You understand? He actually felt proud. I could see the proudness of his face. Like, look at my wife. She's wonderful. You know, so a lot of these things is not what you do, is how you do it. How you express the situation, right? Keep reading.
Verse 24. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant.
Come on.
Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Right, and she dressed respectfully. Strength and honor is in her clothing. She doesn't dress a way that people will perceive her to be a disrespectful manner. Read.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom.
When she opens her mouth, people want to listen to her because she's a smart sister. She's not, you understand? So keep reading.
And in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Come on.
She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
Come on.
Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her.
Come on.
Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all.
Come on.
Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain.
Come on.
But a woman that feareth the Most High, she shall be praised.
Come on.
Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Come on.
That's it.
Okay. So with the understanding that beauty will only go for so far with a man. That you know, beauty will fade away. You could get a man with beauty, but you can't keep a man with beauty. Because if that's all you have, you know, there's always someone younger, better, lighter, whatever, than next door. It's always competition. And that's why do you think now saying something, the scenario of visual stimulation, and then you got women doing what? I got to go to the plastic surgeon, suck it up and bring it out. And then, right? And it becomes an habitual negative cycle of negativity. So understand that these things are a device. So, and also, the negative children, mother, you could also have a relationship with your husband as a father and a negative daughter, too. Right? I'm going to give you another example. If he loves you, he accepts you. He should accept you as you are. Now, in the surface, that sounds righteous and honorable. He should accept you as you are. He should love you unconditional. Now, what's the undertone of that? Love you unconditional. What that means? Any condition, any circumstance, he should just accept it. Let me just say this. Every love is conditional. Even the Most High's love for us. If you love me, if you keep my commandments, I will love you. Right? And I will show, give me the scriptures. Matter of fact, give me Exodus 20. Because I can't say it better than the Most High. And I will show them mercy. Exodus 20. So every love is conditional. So Satan, what he does, he creates these talking points that it's not based on scriptures. And he make them popular. And he regurgitate it to your daughters and your daughters and your daughters, and regurgitate it to your sons and your sons. And you think it's right. It's not right. There got to be conditions. There got to be certain situations that they got to be right and wrong. It's expected on both sides. Let's read. Exodus 20.
26.
26. Yeah, that's it.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
Read before it.
Verse 1. And the Most High spake all these words, saying,
Verse 5.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Most High, thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation.
And you want to know. This is advice to the sisters. You want to know the dimensions of the relationship between you and your husband. Study the relationship between the Most High and Israel. There's a reason why the Most High used words like adultery when we're dealing with worshiping other gods, rebellious. Right? There's a reason why. Because the image of the father, wife, and son, okay, and children, is the image of the Heavenly Father. Right? The Father is the judge. He brings forth the judgment. The Wawawak, the Holy Spirit, is the feminine spirit that brings forth wisdom, understanding, and caring, and comforting. Okay? And Christ represents the children. And how those two balance. Christ is the representation how those two balance. That is the fruit of those two balance. That is the offspring of those two things.
Elder, I have
judgment and also wisdom. Okay, yeah, brother.
I have a precept on that also.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're ready. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 24. And this is just going in on the Holy Spirit, you know, her being that feminine entity to the Most High in the household. We are of that image. Wisdom shall praise, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 24, verse 1. Wisdom shall praise herself and shall glory in the midst of her people. In the congregation of the Most High shall she open her mouth and triumph before his power. I came out of the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth as a cloud. I dwell in high places, and my throne is a cloudy pillar. I alone compassed the circuit of heaven and walked in the bottom of the deep, in the waves of the sea and in all the earth. And in every people and nation I got a possession. With all these things I sought rest, in whose inheritance I shall abide. So the Creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and in thy inheritance in Israel.
This is talking about the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit gave the commandment to the Wawawak, the Most High gave a commandment to the Holy Spirit, always dwell wisdom, understanding with Israel. But that But there is circumstances, there is a contract with that. You can only dwell with them if they keep my commandments, right? But that's the only nation you're supposed to be dwelling. Hold that, what else you at? That was it on that? Right, so.
I got more too.
Yeah, just hold that just for a minute. Just, now back in what I wanted to say earlier in regards of you have to create the understanding that you have to examine the world you're in, and then you have to rebuild your brains, reprogram your brains differently. So you have to kind of create the situation that you don't become that rebellious person. You don't become that rebellious kid against your wife because you're trying to establish your authority, right? And that's the hidden thing. And you don't try to create the situation that, he doesn't love me and he's supposed to love me unconditionally, and create a situation that it's counterproductive. Okay. So you have to love each other in the sense of you have to consider one another. Unless you, so matter of fact, give me 1 Corinthians. Okay. Salakim. 1 Timothy's. Not Timothy's. Timothy's. 1 Timothy's. It said, consider your brother. If he falls, consider you may fall. I think. Let me get it real quick. Just bear with me. Galatians 6, verse 1. That's it. Galatians 6, verse 1.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness.
Many people focus on the scripture and don't apply them in marriages. And they think it's only applying to, a brother or what have you, a member of the church. But your spouse is also members of the church. So this will also apply to your spouse. Right? So let's read.
Considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Come on. So you have to, give me an example in regards of your spouse. How will this apply for your spouse? Somebody. Read it again. Matter of fact, put the word spouse instead of brother there.
Galatians chapter 6, verse 1.
Come on.
Brethren, if your spouse be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore her or him
or them
in the spirit of meekness.
Considering
thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Come on. That's it. Keep reading.
Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if your spouse think themselves to be something, when they are nothing, they deceive themselves.
Okay, so the same thing applies. So give me an example how your spouse will be, they have a shortcoming, and how are you supposed to restore them with meekness, and also consider yourself that you may fall, sister. Mm-hmm. Right.
I wanted to say the women are oversensitive about that because he comes out and telling it a little harsh and then not consider the fact that he's standing there
with Bill Butler, right.
and so the way that we solve it is to say, what, to consider this so, but wait, I'm not perfect either.
Right.
And I still want to be loved, and yet I want her to consider me.
Exactly.
So let's go together and do this.
Right. Right. So that's a good example. Babe, I noticed that I think we should hit the gym together. I think we would, make it fun. I know I got, we lost a little situation. So allow those type of things because the end result is what? Right? Progress. Exactly. That's what you want. How you get there, okay, it's another situation. And that's what people don't understand. You got to look at your household as your company. And when you are a boss of a company, you come up with different problems. And you have to what? Strategize how to deal with those problems. Same thing. You got sometimes this strength to employees, right? You got to say, okay, and who are your employees in this sense? Your wife, your kids, right? You got to hear their concerns, compromise, come up with a game plan, okay, and move forward. So if you look at yourself as a boss in a company and you operate that same way, okay, because when you're doing that in your company, right, and something's going wrong with your employees, right, you listen to them because you care, because you want what? Production. And if your employees are not happy, they're not able to produce. So you care. You want to hear their concerns. You have meetings. And so the same way you want to kind of have those type of things. It's also good to have family meetings with your kids. And kind of hear each other out in different plans within the family. Do things together, and things of that nature. And then the employees, respect your boss. Don't be going there with an attitude, right? Because then that's going to encourage your boss to become a better boss. Because he said, okay, wow, they listen to me. They respecting my position, and we're having a dialect, right? And because when you are a boss and your employee suggested something, right, and he or she is not trying to belittle your position in the company, you hear them, right? But if your employee is being destructive, what do? You write them up. You've been destructive, Harry. You were in a meeting. I had to remove you, right? So the same thing applies in the real world. If you study corporations, you know how they work, you'll be able to take a lot of good tools within your family, and they could run successfully. You could produce good things, right? Let's keep reading. See that?
Verse 4. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things.
And you got to listen to your spouse. Not because of fear or necessary information, data. Like, for instance, you may have a situation, your husband he may be harping on certain scriptures. And you hear them talk about those scriptures a lot. He's not addressing it to you, but to some degree he is. Okay? So you got to say, okay, I see that's important to him. I see that's important to her. Let me do some investigation. What's going on? You understand? Let me find out if this is something subconsciously that he's talking to me about. And you have to create the scenario that is you could go to your spouse and that they don't feel threatened or that is a situation is going to end up to a fight. So you have to. It's very easy to do this. It's not a difficult situation. Just be nice. Nice goes a long way, right? Let's keep reading.
Be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Right. So what does that mean? Be not mocked. It is whatever you establish in your home, that's what you're going to get. If you're going to, and a lot of brothers think, okay, because I need to bring order to my house, I need to establish order, so I need to be firm. Oh, the wife, oh snap, he's trying to now take advantage of me and rule me in a malicious way. I'm going to be a doormat. And that's the issue. So once you understand as a man, you have to say, okay, how can I speak to my wife in a way that I could express my position without belittling her or making her feel like she's going to be a doormat? So all these things you have to have a conversation with yourself. Because that's what a manager does. That's what a boss does. He strategizes and see what's the best way to execute a situation. Okay? And the same situation with the employees. When you guys, your boss is talking and say, okay, I don't want to come across as a disgruntled employee, so let me just wait until, the right time or until we build the relationship. Because sometimes in a relationship, in a marriage that's been lasting 24 years or what have you, you have to start rebuilding a relationship. Right? And especially when you're dealing with the truth. So there may be a perception. Okay, what is my perception in this relationship? We've been, together for 20 years or what have you. Did I talk too much, or I get angry, or I got a temper? So you have to create a new perception of yourself. That may take a few years, because it's like you've been this way for 20 years. You can't just change your perception in 5 days on this person. It might take some time. So you gotta, and that's what goes back into stay in Galatians 5 and 16.
Book of Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh.
So we all know the negative stuff. Let's go straight to 22.
Verse 22.
This is the fruit of the Spirit.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love,
joy,
peace, long-suffering.
Long-suffering. So, therefore, how to achieve that? How to achieve it? We go back from the beginning?
To 16?
No, to 22.
Oh, 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love.
How to achieve a loving home? You need to do that. Read.
Joy.
A joyful home. It's supposed to be happiness at the house. Kids laughing, wife having a good time, and it's supposed to be a joyful thing, not a moody, leave me alone, don't talk to me kind of situation, right? Read.
Peace.
Peaceful. Not strife and arguing, right? Read.
Long-suffering.
You got to be patient with each other. You got to consider one another. You got to be, patient with one another, right? Read.
Gentleness.
You got to be gentle with one another. Can be, mistreating one another, right? Read.
Goodness.
You got to be good to one another. Read.
Faith.
You got to be faithful, right? Trust one another. Read.
Meekness.
You got to be meek. Read.
Temperance.
Read.
Against such there is no law.
Come on.
And they that are Christ.
If you put on Christ, read.
Have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts.
You're not doing that anymore. Read.
If we live in the Spirit,
let
us also walk in the Spirit.
Come on.
Let us not be desirous of vainglory.
Come on.
Provoking one another.
You cannot provoke one another. Read.
Envying one another.
You can't envy one another. In other words, sisters, you cannot envy your your husband's position. Vice versa. It becomes a tug of war. It becomes a jealousy thing. It becomes a thing. You can't do that. You unfortunately, the man of the house, the head of the household, that's his position, unfortunately. Brothers, try to take that position with much given as much as required. Meaning, understanding you are in a position, give it due benevolence, give due respect. Don't abuse it, okay? Don't misuse it, okay? Try to become a person, not that your wife that she knows that she has to follow you. Try to become the person that you inspire your wife to follow you. You got to inspire people. What man could I become that my wife wants to be by my side? And that might take some time to develop that. And sisters, be patient. If your husband is trying, and he really is trying, he's going to do mistakes. And how many times you got to forgive your brother? That includes your husband too. So it's not that difficult if everybody understands what is against them, what is their job, and just do it. Understand that. And what the understanding is, there's not always going to be good times. You're not going to like each other all the time. You got to understand. When those spirits are raising up, you got to recognize it, rebuke it, bring it out of the house. You got to, take some, so you got to understand what is your weakness and combat against them, right? Let's keep reading.
Sit on it.
Okay. All right. So any questions in regards of marriage or situation? Brother Ephraim. Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, she might suggest something, and then you might say, you know, for this moment, you don't want it to happen that moment. Let's maybe, you know, another day or stuff like that. And then she would like totally obey you. And then that becomes, and it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
She gets so frustrated.
Right.
Like, why, you know, it's like every time you do something, you fail.
So repeat again. So you said is a situation with your wife.
Yeah, say for instance, she had it, the one that she had something, you know, she wants us to do. And I said, you know, at this point of time, you know, I'm not reliable, I can't do it right now.
Right.
Let's leave it another day.
Right.
And then that day comes, and then you didn't comply.
Right.
And then she gets so frustrated.
Right.
And then she, like, you know, get mad, like, you know,
Well, right. Now, your situation is a bit difficult because when you have two different people, because a righteous sister should not supposed to be getting angry at her husband if her husband acts, if you ask your husband to do something, he doesn't do it, you're not supposed to be angry at him because he's not your kid, right? The mother-son relationship, you want to avoid that, right? So, but understand that 9 times out of 10, the reason why your husband probably forgets, because unconsciously, he's rebellion. He wants to establish that I'll do it when I do it, when I do it, when I get to do it. You understand? So unconsciously, so the wife's job is to create a scenario that if he is forgetting to do something, that you're not creating an environment of nagging, antagonistic, and I got a problem, and I'm not happy, and we need you understand? And that takes some nuggets to take. It takes some to maneuver. You understand? And there's not one size fits all. It's not one answer will fix the problem. You know your spouse. You know your husband. You know the person you live with. So you have to kind of understand how they operate. And so, but in that situation, brother, it's a situation that is typical spouse in America of a wife having been the position of a mother towards towards a husband who is acting like the rebellious kid. You understand? So my advice to you is, if you know that you're not going to do something, just tell them, I'm not going to probably do that. Exactly, but she's going to get angry anyway. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't do it 2 weeks from now, you're going to get angry. So she's going to get angry. You'd rather just deal with it now. Why? Because although you're going to go through those growing pains, at least, there's 2 things when you're in a situation. This is what I notice all the time. If a woman knows that she cannot change a man, and she knows that whatever she does is not going to change his behavior, she does 2 things. Leaves him or just conform. That's it. You understand? So, if, unfortunately, you don't want to roll that dice, things of that nature, but that's the reality of the day. Now, the bad thing is that sometimes when we're in this condition, the brothers and sisters are coming into the Word, and now you're dealing with that situation, you have a choice. And the best example I could give you is Deacon Shamar. His testimony with him and his wife. He didn't buckle. Babe, this is what it is and that. And then now they're closer together than they've ever been before because she had a choice. And she said, you know what? I'm going to stay with my husband. You understand? I'm going to stay by him and I'm going to embrace this thing. You understand? Now, you know your wife, she's a good woman. 9 times out of 10, the woman would stay with the man because what you're standing firm on is righteousness. You understand? So eventually, a woman will have to be Satan incarnate if she leaves you because you don't want to eat pork or something. Or you don't wanna, you get what I'm saying? So go through that war, go through those growing pains, because the thing with I'm going to do it and you don't do it, you know what that is? That's a Band-Aid. You're just putting Band-Aid on a problem, and you just prolonging the problem. It's like you're taking a pill. You still get the disease, and the pill is just, you're living with the disease. You're not curing the disease. You understand? So the thing is, stand firm and don't, and it may be a situation, you may do that. You may have to tell, because I remember I think I had the same conversation with my wife. And when she asked me to say something, I used to listen. And this is me being the rebellious kid, rebelling against my mom. Babe, I might do it, but if I don't do it, I don't want to hear your mouth. I had to have that conversation. This is the way I am, this and that. And it was me. I remember going through that situation. Like, baby, this is not the way I am. That's who I am. You have to understand that. And when you do that passion expression towards your wife, they'll get it. So the problem, men don't, you just want to have 1 or 2 words conversation. I don't want to do it. I'm tired. You got to really express yourself to your wife. She can see what you're coming from. And you will have a breakthrough. Trust me. You will have a breakdown because she will get it like, okay, now I know what kind of Negro I'm dealing with. I ain't get it now. Sometimes you have to become a Shakespeare actor. Maybe you don't understand him. I'm a man. I need this. This is me. You need to have that conversation because that's how she operates. That's how she communicates. You know, men communicate through sign language. Huh? That's how, right? How do men communicate? Hey. Can we do that? Okay. Women need to express themselves. So go through that moment of expressing yourself with your wife. You're going to become better for it. Trust me. You're going to become better for it and things of that nature. All right? So any other questions? Any issues with marriage? Questions? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Anything else that people are wondering about? Yes, Sister Nicole.
I just wanted to add on to the word to benevolence.
Mm-hmm.
Not only sex,
Right.
also means a good mind.
Right.
You have a good mind towards each other.
Right. It's like it's creating the environment of that you are in the right frame of mind that the bed is not being affected. Because if you're not connected with your spouse, that is going to be affected. You understand? So it's all dealing that you have to be in one, but it's in the context of relations. Because when you read the whole thing, it's more dealing with that. So it just makes sure that you're in a good rapport with each other in regard to that. Because if you do not have a good rapport, this is going to be affected. And that's the reason why Paul says that when you refrain from one another, let it be consented. Because usually when one person wants to do it and the other person doesn't want to do it, it's not a good thing. You understand? It's very, very scenario, scenario that is not something that is not connected to a strife between the spouse. I mean, the only thing I could think of, legitimate, they have a legitimate headache. You understand? But I mean, we're all adults here, but I don't want to, get too graphic. But what I'm saying is that you understand that most time, if there's a situation, there's no connecting with that. It's 9 times out of 10, it's because there is something in the way, and it's usually something that happened 3 weeks ago and it hasn't been resolved. But the headache and I'm tired usually is what is given. Is the reason why it's given. But 9 times out of 10, that's not really the reason. Because when you love your spouse, you want to please your spouse, even if you're tired, you want to please your spouse. All right, baby, I'll turn around. You know, because you understand what I'm saying? Usually when you don't like your spouse, you're not going to go the extra mile for them. You're going to do the bare minimum and find any excuse. Baby, I got a headache. So a lot of that is dealing with that. It's not necessarily that, you're right, but it's dealing, you have to be in a good mind, spiritual connection with that. Anything else? Yes, brother. Okay, give me an example.
Like what he was saying, if you know that you say you're going to do something, and then you wind up not doing it,
right.
In all fairness, you try to get at it as soon as possible because you know that you said you were going to do it.
Right. Now, have you ever been married or had a girlfriend?
Yes,
Okay. So, have you ever done tell somebody, and you're right, because your nay is supposed to be your nay and your yay is supposed to be your nay. Yay, right? So, that applies in any situation, right? But have you ever tell your spouse or your girlfriend that you're going to do something, you didn't do it?
Yeah.
And why didn't you?
Forgot about it.
Right?
Probably didn't want to do it.
Right. Exactly. Now, why do men usually forget stuff that their spouse ask them to do?
It's not in the forefront of our mind.
Thank you. Exactly. So, the reason why you keep forgetting those things to do those things is a cycle. You don't want to do it, you tell her yes because you want to go back watching television, you don't want to hear her nagging. You forget because it wasn't really that important because all you did, you just told her because you just want her to stop talking. She tells you to do it, that's a natural cycle. You understand? Now, how to break that cycle is to tell her the truth from the get-go. Baby, listen, I might forget because this is not that important to me. But tell her why. Because usually the why resolves the issue. Like for instance, baby, this is not that important to me because I don't feel that I'm making any really decision in this house and blah, blah, blah. You go into the reason why, then you get to resolve the problem. The why is very important. And usually men only get stuck on, I'm not going to do it, and maybe go to the next step, is not that important to me, and then they don't go beyond that. You have to go beyond that. You have to tell, babe, the thing is, babe, sometimes I feel like you're my mother. And sometimes I don't want to do things because, like, and really I don't feel like this is my home. And you got to stop talking. I don't feel right because you keep keeping me out and this and that. And you got to have those conversations. Right? And you got to have another conversation with your wife. Or, and usually this is a problem with 20-something-year-olds. People that have been married a long time, but 20-something, who's 20-something here? Okay, who has a wife, who's married? 20-something, 1, 2, okay. Usually the problem is when men are a lot in social media, a lot in female friends, it's because they're waiving the options. Now, there's a dirty secret. You should tell that to your wife. Huh? If you're with someone and you're honest with yourselves, like while you are in these social media, you know you're waiving your option. You know you're checking out just in case the grass is green on the other side. I've been there too. Right? But you're creating the excuse that they are my friends. Baby, I know them from high school. Give me other ones. You're insecure. right? You don't trust me. I'm just talking to them, but you know you're weighing your options. Right? Now, as a Hebrew man, right, what happened is we become a Hebrew and you still go through that. What is usually the thing that you start doing when you're weighing your options? You start embracing the multiple wife thing. That's the number one thing. Well, you could have more than one wife. You know, Susan, she's righteous too, you know. I was thinking about. But the undertoned is you're not happy with your wife 100%. Now, it could be several things. It could be because you're young, and you're the young men in their 20s. They're seeking for their wife, that main person, and they're weighing their options. And sometimes you may have a girlfriend because of circumstance. You need somebody to pay half the rent. You got, just keep it real, right? Remember the curses about your curse be the ground, right? Sometimes a lot of people are in circumstances that they're there because they got nowhere to go. But you're weighing your options on the internet. And these things are, those things that don't go away when you're in the Hebrew community. You know, you're masqueraded with scriptures, and you find other wife and this and that, but you're still weighing your options. Because that's why I advise all my sisters, is that you should wait. You should try to get a brother who's a little older. If you're 22, don't be getting somebody who's 21. Get somebody who's 27, 28, 29. But more importantly, who is following Christ. So if it's going to be 22, I'd rather have you at 22 who's following Christ rather than a 35 who's following, you know, himself. So it's slim pickings, but always good, because sometimes, and with the understanding that men in their 20s, they're still trying to figure this stuff out. So if you fall in love with a 20-something-year-old and you're a 20-something-year-old, women mature quicker than men, but women hit a plateau. Meaning there's going to be always a certain level of girlness. I don't know if that's even a word. Being a little girl with women. That you need your love of a man, or a comforting of a man, a protection, and things of that nature. So because of that. But women mature in a higher rate than men. So when you're 21, 19, you're ready to get married. You find the right way, you're ready to do it. But you find a man who's started college, who just started life, doesn't know what he wants. He might like you, he might even love you, but he doesn't change the fact that he's still in that age. So you get caught up, why he doesn't love me, why he doesn't love me. These things still exist in the Hebrew community. You get what I'm saying? You're not exempt from these things. So you have to understand when you make the decisions that you have to weigh these things out. Now there's special cases and things of that nature. And that's why you should always have other people examine your future spouse or your potential spouse. What do you think about this, brother? Elder? I've been thinking about this situation. What do you think about this, sister? Elder? Because sometimes you can get a more fair perspective from someone than yourself, because you may be blinded by interest, whatever. Okay? So, I'm giving you food for thought today. When you're coming with these, with dealing with marriages, because this has been one of the biggest problems in our church. And it's respectfully, we deal with it. It's okay. It's normal. It is normal that we have issues within marriages in our church, because we are waking up into the truth, and we've been in darkness way longer than we've been in the light. So, cause we are dealing with the aftermath of being asleep for many years. So now we have to kind of like be born again. But that's a practice that it takes some time for us to understand. But the bottom line, the question is don't stay in the surface of, well, brother, if you don't tell your wife you're going to do something and you don't do it, that's surface. It's why. And if you're brutally honest with yourself, okay, you could really get the issues within the problem. And it could be a situation, and a lot of the situation may be a situation that you may be in a situation, you work up, you're a Hebrew Israelite, and then you were in a relationship that you was with this woman until you find somebody else. Right? And you didn't really love this woman. But when you got with this woman, you was not in the truth. But now you're in the truth. Now you're stuck with this woman. You didn't really want this woman, and now you're bound by the law. What to do. Right? And usually what happened is these are the type of brothers that start looking for other wives. They start embracing, well, you know, Solomon had many wives. You understand? Because now you're looking for another woman because this woman was not really the one you wanted. She was the side chick. Let's keep it real. Until you find your real wife. But now you're stuck in a situation that you find the truth and you were in this church and now you're not going to leave this woman, or you can't leave this woman because she's paying the bills. Come on. Right? So all these things are real. We have to start talking about these things. And it's not like I have the answers to all these things. What I'm saying is you know your situation. Protect yourself from yourself. Protect yourself from the reality you're in. And understand you have to make tough choices in life. Because the bottom line, the ultimate reward is salvation. The ultimate reward is salvation. And ultimately, you have to understand is that this truth is not about your personal happiness. Sometimes. It's not about you getting everything you want. Sometimes. It's about you doing for the greater good. You doing the will of the Father. And that may not be easy. You may be in a situation that you may be with a spouse on both sides that you was with them for the wrong reasons, right? You was in the truth, or you became in the truth, but now you stuck with this person who you didn't really love. And you may be in a situation you have to learn to love this person. And you may not be fully happy because you may not be with the person you really wanted, and you start, you have to kind of live with these terms. Because it's not about this. Because in the kingdom, okay, we're all going to be angelic forces. We're going to be angelic beings. So it doesn't matter in the kingdom. Your spouse is going to be that person what you always wanted. You understand what I'm saying? So life sometimes is not about being fully created a scenario of being fully happy. It's about a duty, taking a stand. And me, I'm about building this nation. I'm about preaching the gospel. I'm about bringing forward as a body. It's not about my personal happiness. Now, I'm happy with my wife, but I understand it's a duty. I'm just lucky that I'm with a good woman. She's just lucky that she's with a man that loves her. You understand what I'm saying? But sometimes you may be stuck in a bad situation. And I'm not saying to be stuck with it and deal with it. I'm not saying that. But you may not be in a situation you might not get everything you want. You understand? Because you may have to stay in a situation for the kids. You may have the situation is that your husband may be a deacon of the church, and the church is depending on him. You have to protect that institution. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't sacrifice enough. We worry about being happy. Hey, happy. I just want to be happy. Me. And sometimes you have to look for the greater good. And you have to look at these other nations. When they get married, they don't get divorced. They'll probably miserable. But they at least protect the institution of marriage for their kids. And that's the reason why they're more successful than us. Because their marriage institution is stronger than ours. They stay together. They understand about family legacy and building upon that. We have to understand that. We have to start doing that. So when you're coming together, it is a blessing when you're with the same church. So we should not have these problems that you're both in the same church. I could understand, hold on, Brother Judah. I could understand if you have a member that's not with the church. I love you. Good luck. We're going to try our best for you. Just stuff it out. But if there is no excuse when you're in the same body, you have to work it out. Because it's not about you. We have to bring the nation forward. It's about the kids. So you have to understand that. So don't become the person to be difficult because you're so damn selfish. And you just want to be happy. And don't care about, the situation that you want is unlogical. But you just want to be happy because that's who you are. You have to understand you connected to your spouse and you connected to this nation. And what you do in your household does affect this nation. It does. We're all connected with one another. Because if we're constantly talking and meeting about the marriage and counseling and things of that nature, that takes time. All that issue and bickering, and who's the next meeting, who's the next spouse we need to talk about. What's the issue now? It takes effort, energy that we could be spending on other things. Like I spoke to Elder Ricard, and I said, Elder Ricard, I'm noticing that every time you and I are talking, it's only dealing with an issue. It's not dealing with building the nation. Come up with different ideas. This brother did this sister did that. He went off. This brother's not doing his own thing. It's turning off fires. It's turning on fires.
Throughout the nation.
And we're not building because we're in a standstill. So when you need to understand as two members of the church, and you're a part of this member, this church, you as a marriage, if you're not building something, if you're not working together as a body, and all you're doing is arguing and bickering, you have to resolve that. That's not normal. Call me, call your elder, resolve that issue. Make it work. You got to make it work. You have to resolve that issue. Because it becomes a situation that we as a body, we're not growing because a lot of the issues is marriage in this church. I got to be honest with you guys. We have issues even with deacons. Even with elders, we have issues. There is back and forth with the wife, and this is an issue. Now we have to say, okay, well, going to the scriptures, a husband, give me that about a bishop. He does have to be in the office of a good work. Because now we have to say, okay, and I told this to sisters, by you being what you're doing, and you not putting your effort to resolve the issue, but just focusing on, I'm not happy, and not looking to the under issue, what's going on with your marriage. Understand there's demons all over that situation. And you just more selfishly looking at the problem. I'm not happy, elder. It's beyond your happiness. What is the demon behind the surface? And how can we resolve that issue? That's what you have to start thinking about. Go 2-3 steps beyond just your unhappiness. We all unhappy. We all miserable. It's like 2nd Ezra when he saw the woman crying about she lost her kid. And he was like, you cry for one son, but we are losing our kids. We are losing our nation. So we have to start looking at that situation. We focus too much into individual, and we have to focus more on nation. Okay? Let's read. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Come on.
This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 3. Excuse me. Likewise, verse 7.
Now give me one, verse 1.
Verse 1? Okay. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work.
Now this has to be a situation that every man should thrive. Right? Let's read.
A bishop then must be blameless.
Come on.
The husband of one wife.
Come on.
Vigilant.
Come
on.
Sober, vigilant, read.
of good behavior.
Come on.
Given to hospitality.
Come on.
Apt to teach.
Come on.
Not given to wine.
Come on.
No striker.
Come on.
Not greedy of filthy lucre.
Uh-huh.
But patient.
Come on.
Not a brawler.
Come on.
Not covetous.
Come on.
One that ruleth well his own house.
Come on.
Having his children in subjection with all gravity.
Come on.
For if a man know not how to rule his own house,
Come on.
how shall he take care of the church of the Most High?
Come on.
Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride he fall into the condemnation of the devil.
Come on.
Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without.
Come on.
Lest he fall into a reproach and the snare of the devil.
Come on.
Likewise, must the deacons be grave.
Come on.
Not double-tongued.
Come on.
Not given to much wine.
Come on.
Not greedy of filthy lucre.
Come on.
Holding the mystery of the faith in a pure conscience.
Okay, jump down to Titus. Let's see what the aged woman, what's her responsibility. Titus chapter 2, verse 3.
This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness.
Now, this is not talking about the aged woman like the older woman in age necessarily. It's talking about the woman who is advanced in wisdom into the truth. Right? Let's read.
Not false accusers.
Come on.
Not given to much wine.
Come on.
Teachers of good things.
Come on. Notice it's almost saying the same thing as a bishop, right? Sober, teaching the good things. What else?
That they may teach the young women to be sober.
Be sober.
To love their husbands.
To love their husband.
To love their children.
To love their children.
To be discreet.
Uh-huh.
Chaste.
Come on.
Keepers at home.
Come on.
Good.
Come on.
Obedient to their own husbands.
Come on.
That the word of the Most High be not blasphemed.
Come on.
Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded.
Come on.
In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works.
Come on.
Doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech.
Come on.
That cannot be condemned.
Come on.
That he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed.
Come on.
Having no evil thing to say of you.
Come on.
Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters.
Come on.
And to please them well in all things.
All right, so the bottom line is that all hands has to be on deck with this thing. And then is a duty. This is not about your personal happiness. If you just are narrow-minded about you just being unhappy, and just want to resolve the issue, it's just putting a Band-Aid. You know, you just don't want to be happy anymore. Well, he doesn't listen to me. She talks too much. What is the undertone? You know, because usually when you go into these other situations is that, you know, it's like in the scripture, in the Apocrypha, when Alexander was ruling the world, he went to conquer. And it says, and the world was at peace under him, or something like that. Say again? Right, the world was at peace. That peace was not like a bliss, good. The peace was, if me and this brother are into argument, and I shoot this brother, after the shot, he's dead, it's peace. There's no more war. But there's no justice here. You understand what I'm saying? So usually what happened is people, men would just always want to superimpose their will on the women through fear, right? Grabbing, right? Choking, punching walls, kicking doors, right? Because you just want to superimpose your will because all you want is what? Peace. Now you may get that, but it's still a Band-Aid. You want to resolve the issue, the underlying issue, and things of that nature. You know, so this is a food for thought because I'm seeing a lot of these type of issues. And when I'm spending 2 or 3 hours with couples trying to figure out what's the under issue, and a lot of the stuff is not even related to the situation they're even arguing about. It's very, you know, I don't want to get into, you know, people's business, but it just becomes something that everything is bothering them. You understand? And if you get stuck on this and you're not willing to open up yourself into what is really going on, that's why it goes back into both sides have to create the environment for both sides to openly talk and honestly talk. counseling does this, something about counseling and having a third party come in and resolve deep-rooted issues. There is something about that. So, but if you could do it on your own through Christ and through understanding and say, okay, we cannot allow Satan in his home. Let's work towards that. Let's resolve all our issues so that once we get out the way, we can start building as a family. Huh? Okay. So let's just give the Most High hand a word for his hand for his word today. So let's keep building as a family. Let's stay strong. Let's not allow Satan in our home, because that's what we need. That's what we need. Okay? Strong marriage, we have a strong nation. Okay.